Hello, and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are joining from. Welcome to the SHiFT live Q&A. If you've not come across this before, maybe this is your first time joining, just to give you a very brief introduction, my name is Anthea. I'm the founder of Armar Group. And one of the things that we do is we work with individuals to help them create success in their life, whatever that looks like for them. Either working on mindset, working in business, helping to further their career. It doesn't really matter. It's all about how we can get to the next step. And one of the ways that we're doing that is with the SHiFT, which is a 5-week webinar series and Q&A series, which you're joining today, which helps to explore some of the things that are currently preventing us from taking those necessary steps, such as the mindset, looking at our money, mental health, and of course, looking at how we can improve our physical health. So bearing that in mind, we have a very special guest here today. And I'm not going to do the introduction, as I may not do it quite as much justice as needed. So I'll hand you over, Dean, for you to introduce yourself.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and all the rest of that razzmatazz to everybody. As Anthea said, my name's Dean. I'm a health consultant. I've been doing health, fitness, sports, and the like for the last 15 plus years. So I've got experience working with people with disabilities, recovering from surgery, injuries, young people, former athletes, local communities, across the board in various things, in nutrition, fitness, different types of health, mental health as well. So yeah, I've got quite a range of experience, and I'm happy to share that with you this evening.
Brilliant. See, I definitely couldn't have done you justice on that one. So thank you so much for that really great intro. And it's so important because, today we're talking about, lose weight, gain life. This is more about people having an obsession with weight loss, which means that they actually don't get to live their life and gain the freedom that they need away from this kind of obsession. And you've got so much experience in outside of just physical health, like the mental side of it. We've been talking about, mindset and the kind of part that plays. So, when we had the session over the weekend, we were talking about, focusing on happiness. That's one of the things. If you can focus on happiness in your life, it can help to improve your overall health, not just looking at, again, this obsession with, wanting to lose weight. And so I know that's one of the questions that people generally tend to ask, but what I like to do is kind of kick off these Q&A sessions with some of the kind of top 3 questions that were asked during the webinar. So for those of you who are watching on whichever platform that you are on, please do feel free to drop your comments and your questions in the chat, and we will get across to them. So that, even for myself, and as you know, I was a lot heavier when I was younger. So going through, weight loss myself, I know that when I was at the beginning, one of the things that I actually thought that I had to do in order to lose weight was go to the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest myths that there are, is that the only way that you can lose weight is to go to the gym and basically eat salad, right? So if you are somebody who wants to improve their physical health but doesn't like going to the gym, like what would you suggest are ways that they can do that?
Well, I would suggest anything that requires you to move your body, basically. So being physically active is just about getting your body moving, arms, legs, getting the heart rate up, etc. So that could be going to a dance class, it could be going trampolining, it can be going roller skating, riding a bike, swimming, playing sports, going to the park and having a game of rounders with your friends and family. Do you know what I mean? So it's just about getting out there, getting active. Because even for me personally, I love the gym, but that is to help me do the activities that I enjoy doing. So I like playing sports. So I go to the gym to make my body stronger, help with certain bits of athleticism, but I don't do it as my sole means of being fit and active. I would,
Mm,
if I couldn't do anything, I would do sports because it's a lot more engaging. It challenges the mind. The time passes and you don't even know it has.
mm,
You're getting to meet new people, and it's unpredictable. You know, with the gym, you're gonna have your sets, you're gonna have your reps, which is sometimes what dulls people down because they feel as though they're doing this repetitive motion. It's just
mhm,
the same thing day in, day out. Or at least with sports, you're never gonna catch the ball the same. You're never gonna have the same kind of movement on the field that you did the last time. So it's an opportunity for you to just get out, do something 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is, and then at least get yourself moving, as I said, get your heart pumping, and then you can try and build that into a healthier lifestyle.
mm. I love that because I think there are a lot of people who would like to do something fun in order to lose weight, but they don't see the gym as that.
Yeah,
And I know for myself that the gym was never really anything that I enjoyed doing. I did actually enjoy the classes. So anything that was like aerobic, dance class, like I would generally go to that. But the thought of going to the gym, I was just like, I don't get it. And then lifting weights. And then you see these people in here for like 2 to 3 hours and you think, no, I've got so like there's so many more things that I could have done with that time.
the thing is
Lifting the
about
same weights again and again.
the thing about that is it's very easy. You can actually get a physical transformation from doing half an hour in the gym
Mhm.
daily. Do you know what I mean? So you don't have to do hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, especially if you haven't been active before, because it's a lot harder if you've never been active and then all of a sudden now you're going for 2 hours of strenuous exercise where your body is going to be bust up, it's going to be paying up, and you're going to regret it, and you're going to say, "This is why I never started in the beginning." Do you know what I mean? It happens time and time again. I've seen it, I've heard it. But if you can fit in a half an hour, and that can be anything. So let's say you are just starting out. You can start off
Mhm.
half an hour doing walking on the treadmill and doing some stretching. Do you know what I mean? And do that all in half an hour. Then the next day you might have do something else, like do a bike, do the cross trainer, and then again you might do a little bit of stretching, or you might do some sit-ups. But all it is that it's getting you into that frame of mind of, oh, let me just do a little bit of activity, because at the end of the day, every every single day we work our minds. So we
Mm,
should do our bodies the same justice and give
mm,
our bodies a little bit of a workout. Do you know what I mean? So that mind and body are connecting as best as possible and as healthy as possible. That is your holistic health. So if it's a fit where you think you have to spend hours in there, no, you don't. Start off with 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then at least you can feel that reward and get that endorphin boost and say, yeah, you know what, I've done something, because it gives you that feel good factor as well.
mhm. Yeah, definitely. And I think, like from what you're saying, I think the main thing that I'd kind of take from that is giving yourself permission because I don't know when it comes to weight loss, it very much feels like the all or nothing. So and I know that because I talk about this a lot, like that transition between December and January is when that happens the most because people be like, right, it's a new year, it's a new me. I'm gonna lose half a stone, I'm gonna lose 5 stone, I'm gonna do all of these things. And then they say, right, I'm gonna sign up for the gym membership and go every day, but you weren't going every day before. So
Yeah,
how do you think that you can now commit to such a huge level of activity that your body doesn't know
yeah.
about? You didn't consult your body, and and like how can you keep that up consistently if you haven't been doing that before?
Yeah, it's unreasonable of yourself,
Mm,
realistically. So that's why you need to set realistic targets, realistic goals. If you've not been active at all, you can just set yourself of, let's say over a month, you're gonna work out 1 day a week for a month. If you can do that, the next month you might say, I'm gonna do twice a week. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
So there is no rush, but you will start to get your mind into the frame and the set that, you know what, this is actually all right, I can do this. And every time you achieve, it will give you that extra boost to say you can do it, you have done it. And before you know it, you would have done weeks, months of working out, because what you need to remember is, regardless of whether you exercise or not, that time is going to pass. But you don't want to look
mm,
6 months down and be like, oh, you know what, I should have started. Do you know what I mean? Because that time is going to go regardless of whether you exercise. So you might as well exercise in that time, and then you say, right, you know what, 6 months have gone, I've kept it up. Nice, because it's going to be hard. That is the fact. Like, so I'm not even going to try and pretend or make it as though it's not. It is going to be hard. It is hard work, but it's at least it's one of the only things in this world that you're the only person that benefits from that hard work. Do you know what I mean? You put all that effort in, you're gonna get the rewards. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't go to anyone else. So it's one of the few things in this world that is actually worth investing that hard work, time, sweat into, because you're gonna gain ultimately.
Definitely, definitely. And I definitely think that the likability factor is also something that can grow, because I definitely remember saying I hated the gym. That was my thing, but that was my excuse not to go to it. Right. So I love the gym. I can go to the gym every day. But I didn't start there. So like you said, it's about, not necessarily, I think it's about not necessarily telling yourself what you can and can't do, but just committing to going, committing to trying, committing to the 15 minutes, the 20 minutes, the 30 minutes, once a week, whatever it is, commit to that. And then at least when you do that, it means that you're starting to build consistency. And at least if you've got consistency, then you're consistently benefiting. Like you say, you're the only one who really benefits from you going. So, yeah, really, really good points there, actually.
Yeah.
So even just, considering the flip side of that, because, that whole thing of abs are not made in the gym.
Yeah,
And everyone wants the six pack. Everyone wants to have, the V, and they want to, summer's coming up. So you wouldn't tell from the weather, but we're in spring now. Summer's coming. We can't hide under coats anymore, right? Restrictions are lifting. We can't hide in homes anymore, right?
Yeah.
So for the people who, okay, so maybe let's say to a degree they might have the physical activity down, or maybe not, but maybe they're not able to be physically active. So now their focus is on food. And I know I'm probably less so now, but a fairly fussy eater. So if you are someone who is a fairly fussy eater already, right? And even if you're not, you see a lot of conflicting advice about what is good for you, what isn't good for you, what's healthy, what's a good way of, controlling your diet, because a diet isn't necessarily to lose weight, it's just the way in which you fuel yourself. Like what are they supposed to eat? If what do they do?
The thing is, personally, and the thing is with nutrition and dietetics and stuff like that, and dietary requirements, it's quite a personal view, and I'm going to give my personal view. So my personal view is there shouldn't be anything that is off the table, unless like you are a premier athlete and you have to keep to a certain standards. But if you, as you said, like a fussy eater and you just want to improve your nutrition and your diet, it's a case of look at what the general kind of health topics are out there, look at the advice that is out there, and then you have to work it with your own lifestyle, number one. Number two, try things out. You know what I mean? Even though you're fussy, it's one of those things where sometimes things look terrible or they might smell a little bit funny. So sometimes you just have to be a little bit adventurous and find out, oh, do you know what? That is nice. And also be mindful when you eat, because there could be things in your diet that are preventing you from losing weight or making you actually put on weight because you have an intolerance to it or an allergic to it. So if, for instance, there's a certain food that you eat and you always get bloated, but you have, because it's been happening for so many years, you haven't even acknowledged it, then you are hindering your own progress because you are keeping it in your diet. So again, I'm not saying to completely remove it, but if you're at least aware of it, you can say, you know what, instead of having it 3 or 4 times a week, I'm going to have to reduce that to once every 2 weeks, just so my body can function properly. Because there could be food that you're eating that's making you tired. And if you're tired, you're not going to exercise. You're not going to want to eat. You're not going to cook. So there's all these kind of impacts that happen from nutrition and what you're intaking. As you rightly said, a diet doesn't necessarily mean you're losing weight. A diet is just what you're intaking. So if you are, again, just to reiterate what I said, if you are fussy, sometimes just look at what you're eating first and foremost, see if it is having any effect on you. If it's not, perfect, good. And then you have to just be adventurous and try foods. And
Mm.
if you're getting advice, if it's conflicting, it's your body. So just make a call. If it's someone saying, "Oh, eat strawberries and don't eat strawberries," strawberries always going to be better than a Snickers bar, regardless. So if it's that kind of a conflicting advice, that is what I've got to say. Like, if you're going to weigh it up, it isn't that bad. It's just they're probably talking about if you're really at that peak of nutrition, or if you've got like diabetes and stuff like that, then they might be going
Mm.
towards there. But generally, if it's fruit and vegetables, eat them. Do you know what I mean? Include them in your diet where you can, and maybe just small steps. Do you know what I mean? Again, just like the exercise, one day of the week, you try a new vegetable, and then the next week you try a new vegetable. The next
Mm.
week, try a new fruit, and then that way you're at least trying to entice and coax a new lifestyle out of yourself.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that process because of my love-hate relationship with avocados.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
that whole thing of baby steps is definitely right. I think it's, figuring out what vegetables are even out there, because even me, I can still go to the supermarket, probably less so the supermarket, but probably like a market stall, and there is so much veg there and I have no idea what half of it is. We
yeah.
only really know predominantly a lot of the veg that makes it into the store, and they're the common stuff. So it is also a good idea to vary, the kind of vegetables that you take in, and like you say, just monitoring how does that impact you,
Mm,
because something that could be healthy may not necessarily be healthy for you.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
your body may reject it.
one thing to remember is that food serves two purposes.
Mhm.
One is to fuel your body, and the other is to have enjoyment. So if it's not doing either one of those things, then you're not eating right. Do you know what I mean? If all you're eating is making you unhappy and you're not enjoying it, there needs to be a change. And if
Mhm.
everything you eat makes you happy, then you've also got to think, what is going on? The burgers, the chips, the milkshakes. Yeah, that's the feel good food. You know what I mean? So you have to have that healthy balance, more towards the fuel side, but so what I'm getting at is have fun. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
trying out these new foods should be fun. It should be a case
Mhm.
of, you know what, I'm gonna get a little dangerous, a little daring. I'm gonna try that purpley thing over there. And you're gonna go for it. You know what I mean? Win or lose. Because the worst that's gonna happen is you're not going to like it. That is the
Mm.
worst. So try it, go through it, take the leap, and they say, "Oh, that is not good. That's not happening again." All right, next I'm gonna try the greeny yellow one. Oh, you know what? That's not actually too bad. And then and like I said, if you're doing it in your own kind of time, which, as I said, could be once a week or 2 or 3 times a week, whatever it is good for you. You'll make that progress, and your palate will change. Your palate will
Mhm.
adapt, and you will then begin to appreciate the different flavors, the textures of all these different wonderful foods that are out there, and from so many different countries,
Mm.
especially with the way travel and international commerce is now. We're getting food from all over the world, in
Mm.
all different countries. So you're actually getting a chance to try so many different things. So yeah, step out and take a bite. Take a bite of life.
Yeah, definitely, and agree with the moderation. I think for me, when I first started, like seriously losing weight, because there was obviously plenty of times before, and a lot of that is around, I know you were talking about the kind of mindset from a physical, exercise, physical activity perspective, but I think even before you even get to that, there's a whole heap of mindset work that needs to be done. And I had so many excuses. It was, oh, I can't lose weight. I can't go to the gym. I can't jog. I don't like that food, So I had all of these reasons as to why I couldn't. But when I finally got to that point where I was ready to commit to this weight loss journey, one of the first vegetables that kind of entered my plate was broccoli, and I didn't
Aha.
get it. Like it just didn't make sense to me. And it's funny because my mum refers to them as small trees,
And how
right?
do you
So
find them now?
I they are staple. If I don't have broccoli in a week, I feel like something is missing. I remember recently I ended up making a separate trip to a completely different store because my store didn't have the broccoli and cauliflower that I normally get, and they didn't have the broccoli either. So I ended up doing a completely separate supermarket run because I had none in the house. So it's funny how the things that we tell ourselves we can and can't do, we can and don't like, are
Mm,
are pretty much things that we can enjoy if we decide we want to. But like you said, it starts with, having fun, deciding that I'm going to try this thing, and being in a position where we, we open ourselves up. Because if we think about it, when we were born, all we had was milk. So
mm.
there was a point at which we had to be open to the puree stuff that got shoved in our mouth,
Yeah,
up
yeah.
until the point where we were trying to, chew down without teeth, to the point where our food, was the availability of what was put to us. It was a process. And I feel like
Mm.
when it comes to losing weight and deciding to adjust your diet, that is also a process, and it's one where we will end up probably spitting a few bits out.
Thing is, one of the things I remember when I first started getting educated in fitness and health, there was a much more senior personal trainer than me, and I always remembered this, and it stuck with me. They said, when choosing your food, if it has an advert, limit it. And I was always like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because you can't read a big advert for apples, a big advert for carrots, or as you now love broccoli. But we have the McDonald's and the KFC, the Burger King, Snickers, whatever it is. Which there's nothing wrong with having those foods in moderation,
Mhm.
but they have an advertisement because they want you. They're trying to entice you. While no one
Mm.
really has an advert to entice you to vegetables and fruits, but those are the foods that it needs to be the majority of what you're eating.
Mm.
So it's kind of one of those things where, as you pointed out, as you trickle it in, and then you just kind of get used to it, and it becomes something that you begin to love and enjoy, and say, yeah, you know what, I do need my one apple a day, or my little punnet of strawberries, whatever it is, and
Mm.
just it's those little things that make a difference over a long period of time. As I've mentioned about the whole 6 months going by, year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years goes by. We can start today. Do you know what I mean? We can start on that
Mm.
health journey today, and then in 10 years' time, look back and say, yeah, I remember when I started, and I'm thankful for every day that I did.
Yeah, it's so true. And even if you were inconsistent over those 10 years, you were still going to be one step ahead than not starting at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. And I love that. If it's got an advert, I'm going to start paying more attention now
Yeah.
to what's on there. Then I can make excuses about what I won't eat. No, I mean, I think the only positive thing about media at the moment is that they are actually putting some money into advertising healthier foods. So
Mm.
especially with some of the food home deliveries and stuff like that, just for that awareness, because everyone's on the Deliveroos and Uber Eats and all of those kind of things. They're like, okay, well, how about we do a bit of HelloFresh instead?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
make it easier to access the good food. So yeah,
Because
no, appreciate that, and I'm definitely going to be mulling on that one a little bit.
what
Um,
one thing that apologies, but one thing that people should remember is that the more kind of processed food and kind of junk food that you eat, I mean, it's delicious. Let's not get that wrong. But the more of it that we eat, the more it changes our palate. So it
mm,
then means that fresh cooked food can sometimes taste bland because
mm,
our palate is oversaturated with the flavors that have been pumped into those foods. So that's something to be aware of as well, that the food that you eat, the healthy food, isn't necessarily bland. It's just that if you are taking too much of like the salt and other fats and stuff like that, then it could be that your taste buds are now just weakened to
mm.
the natural flavors.
Very true. And I think that's why people find it so difficult to kind of go cold turkey, so to speak, because even for myself, I did kind of like fast in February into to March, and they always say the first like 3 days that you start anything are always the hardest because
Mm.
it's like being on crack. It's not like I necessarily, I don't eat a huge amount of junk processed foods. I prefer to cook. I've got my thing is, like you said, certain things that I enjoy, I will still have those in moderation, but just not having, only having specific things like fruits and veg, etc., for a period of time, your body will tell you the stress that you have put it under,
Mm.
having to process all of that. So now it's so much happier, but you're the one suffering.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely get that because once you're kind of weaning yourself off of things like sugar, it is so hard. But for anyone who is doing that, once you get to once you get to day 4, everything works so much better. Honestly, I can tell you. Okay, so we've got a question from the chat, just putting that up on screen for you. This is from AAGP. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. What are the best foods to eat to enhance cardio performance, gain muscle, and lose weight?
So to gain muscle, you want high protein foods. So that could be your legumes, your beans, fish, meats. So that because when you exercise, not to get too scientific, but your muscles are broken down and repaired. So you want them to repair larger. So that's what the protein is there for, to help build that up. For cardio, it's the carbs. It could be carbs or fat. It depends on what kind of cardio you're doing, because fat is the energy source that we use on a day-to-day basis when we're sleeping, when we're sitting at our slowest periods of time. But when we're doing cardio, like if you're going for a run, going to the gym, you're going to burn up carbohydrates. So you want good clean carbs, so things like oats, brown rice, if you can take brown rice, sweet potatoes, those kind of things. But you also need to bear in mind what your energy levels are throughout the day, because some people have higher energy levels in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. So depending on how you are naturally should determine when you should fuel. So if you're going to have an afternoon workout, you probably want to have the carbs in your breakfast time so that it's had time to get into the body, but it's not sitting in the stomach. And then if it's the evening, probably the afternoon, and then for the same reason. So that's how you want to kind of try and eat. And using energy. So some energy drinks are good at sports drinks because they give you a quick boost and replace like anything that's lost. And the other one was weight loss. The last one.
Yeah, weight loss.
I wouldn't say there's any foods that encourage weight loss, other than going back to the fact that I said eating less junk food helps, and also smaller portions. So it's not rocket science. It's not crazy stuff. It's just if you eat a lot of junk food, because I know we live like Western cultures is about going out to eat for some people 7 days a week. The amount of calories you're consuming, unless you are working out 2 to 3 hours a day, which again at the beginning of this conversation we said is not necessary. But if you are eating out all the time and then eating your 2 or 3 meals a day, then you're probably consuming way too many calories, and you don't know how much oil, saturated fats, and all those kind of things they're putting in there. So it's a lot harder to know how to burn that off. So that is the thing. So as I said, reduce kind of junk food, processed foods, and portion control. So I'm gonna just give a little example. Your food, when it's squashed together, should be about the size of your fist, because that is usually the approximate size of your stomach. So when you squashed all your food together, if it's like this, then that's way too much food. It should be about that size. And then that's about the right size of food. And then you should be able to reduce weight there, as long as you've got that physical activity that is giving you what's called a calorie deficit.
That was really useful. I hope hopefully AAGP that kind of answered your question. And I know you've got another question in the chat, but I suppose just before that, just following up for portion sizes. And one thing that I found helpful years ago when I was trying to adjust, because I think again this is all about overhaul, right? Because you're giving some suggestions about things that you can do, and people will go away and say, "I've got to implement all of this week." And that's simply not true. If even if you kept everything that you're doing at this exact same in the exact same way you're doing now, but you just reduced your portion sizes, you'll see progress. If you
Yeah.
kept everything else the same but increased your physical activity, you'll see progress. If you kept everything the same but maybe adjusted some of the foods that you ate, so you ate less junk food, you'll see progress, right? So for anyone who's watching, don't feel that you have to do all of these things at once. And like I say, one thing that I found really, really useful for me is I actually, so, you know, typically the plates that we buy and have in our homes are actually quite large, right?
Mm,
And because we are visual eaters, we feel like when we see space on the plate, it's
yes.
not full enough,
Yeah.
right? But if you have a plate the size of a steering wheel, it should not be full, right?
Yeah.
So what I found useful is that I actually went to buy um they're just a tiny bit bigger than saucers.
Okay. Yeah. I know the
Yeah.
place.
So you get much smaller, it's kind of like a saucer bowl type thing, which is much smaller than a plate, but because it has that bowl form, it still allows you to, you know, put stuff on there and it looks like it's full. And that
Also,
immediately reduced my portion sizes.
what you need to remember is that it takes the body approximately 10 minutes to acknowledge that there's food getting into the stomach. So eat slowly. That's also why fine dining restaurants give you such tiny portions, because yeah, I know it's through the roof, but it is because you're supposed to be having conversation over dinner. And
Mm,
when you're having conversation, your body's going to be acknowledging that there's food in there. So you won't actually be able to eat those big portions, which is why when you go to certain restaurants and they're giving you massive portions and everyone just head down, that's why you're able to consume. Well, when you go to fine dining, that is obviously usually an occasion, or you've been invited out for something very specific, and then you're going to have dialogue, and then you might take a bite, continue talking, then you take another bite. So in that time, your body has acknowledged that, and then it will eventually tell you, I've eaten. But
mm,
usually we just scoff our food down, no talking, no conversation, especially if we live on our own. We're not talking to anyone, it's just in front of the TV, we're just
mm.
eating, but just take your time, slow down. And that's another way to help with losing weight and not eating so much.
Brilliant. Do you know, I never actually looked at it that way. Fine dining, and it's funny, you're actually paying them to help you lose weight. Like you don't even realize fine dining is not fine dining. It's a weight loss opportunity because you get you get the chance to reconnect with the people that you're actually dining with and to start training your body for the signals that one, I'm eating, and two, I'm full. Right.
Yeah,
So yeah, for anyone who's complaining that, you know, the meal that you're getting costs you know, more than £10, trust me, it will save you hundreds in future.
yeah.
Um, so we have another question here from AAGP. Thank you for your engagement. Are there any natural sweeteners that have less calories than normal sugar but are sweet?
Some people go for agave syrup because it doesn't have such a strong taste as honey, so that's quite a natural sweetener. However, when you look at sweeteners and sugar and stuff like that, there's what's called the glycemic index and the glycemic load. Again, I'm not trying to get too scientific here, but that is what you need to. That is what sugar content is judged by. So
Mhm.
it's like how much sugar does something contain versus how much kind of energy output. So like a banana has a low load of sugar. It's about 70 calories, but it's filling. It's very hard to eat. I'm gonna go back to a chocolate bar. That's like 256 calories, but you pack those away very easily. Two,
Mm,
three of those, because there's no fiber There's no carbs, there's no other extra nutrients in there to fuel your body. So when you're looking for those sweeteners, unless like that you got an actual problem like it's diabetes where you have to avoid it, then maybe agave syrup. But generally, it's very hard to find natural sweeteners that don't have a similar sugar content to sugar itself.
Thank you. I hope that was helpful, AAGP. So I guess even what we've been speaking about is very fairly specific around like weight loss, and because this is what people generally focus on. It's all about weight loss. And again, just going back to even the title of this live is lose weight, gain freedom. And just kind of for the context of that, it's and I've been here myself, so I completely get it. It's we have this, and this is something that society kind of pushes on us as well. I had some stats around what the perfect about body image, and the amount of people who are so focused on what they look like. That's the only thing that matters. And what you look like has zero reflection about how healthy you are. So you could be slim, you could be you could be classified maybe as clinically obese, but you could still be healthier than someone who is actually within the BMI range that they have. So the whole idea about this is to say that when you focus on weight, you to a degree start to lose your senses, because the only goal is I need to lose weight. And so that's why people end up doing all of these random diets, trying to hit the gym 6 times a week and doing all of this nonsense that's not part of everyday life, because they're so focused on that. And the perspective really that I want to share is that if you can focus on, if you can take away the focus on weight loss and just have it on health, being healthy, you gain freedom, because there are so many aspects. There's probably too many for us to discuss today, but there's so many different aspects to this, in the sense of what you see on social media, what you see on TV, what you allow yourself to be influenced by, when people make comments and how you take those in, what you say to yourself, what you see when you see yourself in the mirror, and all of those things, because you're focused on weight loss. But if you're not focused on the weight loss, you gain freedom from those things, which allows you to actually naturally make better choices. So that kind of leads into the third question, which is, if we're saying don't focus on weight loss, but I want to lose weight and be healthy, what are the other suggestions that you may have for people to kind of focus on?
Well, the focus has to be on a change in lifestyle, a healthier lifestyle, as you alluded to earlier, because weight is just that. It's just a metric of how heavy you are. It doesn't tell you anything else. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like 15 stone. Somebody else that's 15 stone would look totally different to me, but we weigh the same. So it's like, it's just weight. But if you're looking at how you want to look, that is something else. So you can say, you know what, I want to look that way. What do I need to do in order to achieve that? Or I want to have healthier skin, or I want to have more energy in the morning. Do you know what I mean? So when you look at those kind of very specific attributes of your overall health that you want to improve, generally weight loss will come along with it, because weight loss is just, one, a healthier diet, and two, burning more calories than you are taking in. So it's a very simple equation for that weight loss, but there are many different aspects to it, because if your mental health state is not there where you can focus on your physical health, then you're not going to be able to make those adjustments to achieve what you want to achieve. While if it is, and you're giving yourself too big of a task, again, it could be, you can stress yourself out, and then you're not going to see what it is that you really want to achieve. Do you know what I mean? Because there's food to help for the brain, food to help for the eyesight, food to give you more energy, food to help you sleep. So if you know what it is that you want to achieve from yourself, looking at your life holistically, that is a better way than I want to lose weight, because you can lose weight by just not eating. That's it. Don't eat, you will lose weight, and until the point that you're permanently lost weight. So, but we need to eat. You know what I mean? And as I said earlier, it serves two purposes: for fun / pleasure, and to fuel your body. So, if you're doing it in the right way, and you got things that you want to do, then you're going to lose that weight anyway, naturally. So if you want to be more active, so let's say you are more heavy set, and there's something that you've always wanted to, I don't know, play football with your kids, but you've always felt that wasn't possible, then you look at, well, how can I do that? Don't focus on the weight, but all right, what can I do that can help me get to that point where I can go and play that sport with them, play football, play baseball, cricket, whatever it is, with the kids, and then you start to chip away. Do you know what I mean? Okay, let me see, maybe I'll go and goal, just do a little bit. You're moving, you're starting to get used to being, you're moving your body, you're out a bit more, and then just from that, you think, you know what, I've done well today, I'm going to eat a little bit healthier, and then you kind of getting that back and forth with yourself. And this is obviously theoretical, but that's an example of what could possibly be the case. But that is what it is. Have things to focus on that aren't weight, but are very specific to your own lifestyle and your own dreams and goals.
Yeah, I love that. I love those suggestions, because it can be something as simple. And again, it comes back to this whole thing of finding your why. What's your why? What's the driver for you wanting to be healthier? And it, like you say, it could be spending time with someone. It could be because you started a new job and there is a hill that you have to walk up, and you don't want to be sweating buckets every time you arrive at the start of the, at work at the start of the day. Look, people looking at you like, did you shower? Like, So
They feel like a marathon.
yeah, exactly. So, and just to touch on something, because you've mentioned this a couple of times now, you keep saying look at it holistically. So can you just kind of describe, what do you mean when you say look at it holistically?
Holistically is, so your health is holistically is like your mental health, your physical health, spiritual health, emotional health, financial health. So those things all impact everything else. Do you know what I mean? If your money isn't right, that's going to stress you out. You might start eating more, or you might be like, I can't eat. Do you know what I mean? If your emotional well-being is not there, then you might comfort eat, or you might be like, I can't be bothered to see anyone, I can't be bothered to do anything. And then that will impact your social, and you've got no one to speak to. And then again, that's now impacting your mental health again. So all these things need to be taken care of. It is hard because we all have our struggles, and life can come at us with a curveball in any way, shape or form. We just don't know. But if we do our best to look after all of those aspects of our health, then we should be able to achieve what we're setting out to a bit easier, because we're keeping things in line. Do you know what I mean? We're speaking to the right people, we're in the right company, our money isn't making us worried about, am I going to eat, am I going to keep a roof over my head? And then you're like, oh wow, I've got bigger fish to fry, I've got bigger problems. And so then you can say, you know what, I'm going to treat myself to that burger, or you know what, this week I'm going to go vegetarian, because you can have a clear mind, because everything else you've looked after, and that is the holistic nature of things.
Yeah, and completely agree, because again, even when you think about, this program, the SHiFT, is that it's actually based on some of the well-being dimensions, or of holistic health. And it's so interesting you say that, because it's so true. Just even when you don't feel confident in yourself, like, so you feel you're overweight, for example, that can make you withdraw. you may not go out because you don't feel confident or comfortable in your clothes. So you don't have that social aspect. And then you've got stuff happening at work. And then because you've withdrawn so much, you don't feel like you can reach out. Oh, people won't really want to help me because I'm overweight. And the things that can actually happen, again, just, speaking from experience, the things that I used to think that people would or wouldn't do simply because of what I looked like would astonish you. So it can definitely eat away at the kind of sensible or logic from things and cloud your mind, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we live with some of the stuff that happens as children, and as we talked about a little bit earlier, stuff that we see in social media and everything is like there's that big focus on how you should look, and if you don't look this way, then basically life isn't worth living. But if it's about quality of life, and what kind of quality of life do you want? If being overweight is causing your quality of life to deteriorate, then you should do something about it. There's no two ways about it. You know what I mean? There's no prettying it up, because a lot of complications come from being overweight. So if you are thinking about it, then there needs to be something done about it. But as I said, that shouldn't be the focus. It should be, how do I improve my heart health? How do I improve my lung aerobic ability? How do I strengthen my joints? So when you're looking at doing those things, that is going to help you gain those health benefits. And then when all the other stuff around the world is kind of bombarding you with the images and the posters that we see all over the place, you know what, I'm doing what I'm doing for these specific reasons. And in that way, it should help you stay a bit more on track. And I know this is all theoretical. I have my own struggles, but I work and I keep on it, because I know overall I feel the benefits. I reap the rewards of the hard work, and it is a lifelong lifestyle choice. Do you know what I mean? So I try and make sure I'm working out most days of the week. I eat healthy and I cook nearly all my meals. But even today, I went and had some Lebanese food and dessert. Do you know? But it was a treat. That's what it was. So it's not as though I exclude these things from my diet. So I don't want anyone watching this to think, but I bet all you eat is carrots and broccoli. No, I eat what I want. But I also understand moderation, and I also understand what goals I have. And sometimes I get a setback. You know what I mean? I have 2 or 3 days where I've not eaten well, I've not slept well, I've not exercised well, and it's a setback. But then it's like, get back into it, attack it, go at it again. A little setback, and I come back fighting again, and that's what it is. It's a push and pull always. We're always gonna fight for it, and at the end of the day, you just got to want it. Do you know what I mean? You got to want those health goals. And I said, look at it holistically. What in your life like needs tidying up, pulling together, so that it all comes together for a life that you are comfortable with, that you're happy with, and then your quality of life should be heading upwards.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, really good points there. I think, like you say, the focus is on the quality of life. I think that's a really good indicator, because like you said, weight is just a number, but what's the quality of my life like right now? Do I feel happy in this area? If not, then maybe that's where I need to focus. So we've got another question here. This one is in relation to health management. So is it better to eat one big kind of normal meal in the evening, or have a number of small meals through the day in relation to managing your health?
Well, that is an age-old question. Again, you have to kind of know yourself to a degree. And regardless, if those meals are unhealthy, then neither is good. If they're all healthy, you have to decide based on your lifestyle. So it might be a case where, realistically, in order to have that one big healthy meal, you have to wait till the end of the day, or you can only have it in the beginning of the day, and the rest of the day will be unhealthy food. So you decide, you know what, let me have that big meal, and then tomorrow I'll eat again. Or if you've got the opportunity where you get to bring your own food to work and you know you get hungry regularly, then have the small meals. But you have to listen to your body. That is what is key. You have to listen to your body. Your stomach will tell you, your mind will tell you what is going on. And if you're eating small, healthy meals, you're probably going to be hungrier anyway. because your body's going to burn it up quite quickly. And if you're living in an active life, in the sense of, let's say you're a builder, then you're probably going to need to eat more often anyway. So you have to, it's a delicate balance to know what is quote unquote best. But that is what I would say. You have to listen to your body and look at your lifestyle and see what fits best, but make sure that those meals are as healthy as they can be. And also big shouldn't be a 3,000 calorie meal in one go. It should still be, if it was a little bit bigger than your fist, and then that's it. You know, as I said earlier, like a little bit bigger than your fist, that would be your big meal. And then and your snacks and your mini meals will be smaller than that, maybe half of that portion size.
I hope that answered your question. And yeah, it's true. And I think also something that I found useful was to look at the food that you're eating and the size of what you're eating and how it impacts your energy. So you could say, oh, because I've got to do this, or the opportunity for me to have a big meal is at lunchtime, but does that give you the energy you need to get through the rest of the day? Because if it doesn't, then that's probably not the best time for you to have it. So
lethargic.
yeah, exactly. So you've got that kind of itis in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
that's what I mean by judging by your lifestyle. You have to see, right, well, what kind of works.
Definitely. Okay, so yeah, so some really, really, really interesting points shared today. Thank you so much for this. It's been a real eye opener, because even, you know, I feel like I'm fairly knowledgeable in that kind of area, but I still sometimes my body just responds in different ways to stuff that even I'm generally eating. It's the, you know, there are so many different factors that play a part in how that impacts my body. So I think, like you say, it's this constant push and pull. It's listening to your body and understanding what it needs and what is working and what's not working. So I think one thing that I've definitely taken away from today is this whole idea of giving yourself permission. Don't be so hard on yourself. Know that this is just you trying to figure things out, what isn't working for you, and that takes trial and error. So there are going to be some setbacks. There are going to be some things that did work, some things that don't work. But either way, the main thing is just to kind of just keep trying, because once you understand what you're doing that for, why you're doing this, you know that you're always going to benefit from whatever setbacks that you have. So what would you say your kind of like top 3 takeaways from today's session?
All right, first one would be portion control, because very often we're eating far too much food when we go out to eat or when we're dishing up our plate. So as you said, try using a smaller plate or smaller bowl for measuring out your food. So you don't have to get out scales or anything like that, but it shouldn't be overflowing. It shouldn't be piled high. So like mountains of rice and tons of potatoes. And the food should mainly be vegetables. Like, so regardless of whether you're vegan, vegetarian, if you're a meat eater, there should still be a good proportion of vegetables within your plate, and just reduce those portions. You can almost eat limitless amounts of vegetables, just putting it out there. You can almost, they are so healthy and low in calories and not bad nutrients, but excessive like fat and carbs. They can almost not eat too much of them. So get them in there. Second one is add one SMART goal to your life. So SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Yeah, so make sure that it's a specific goal. So for example, because we're on weight loss, say we said, you know what, I want to lose 1 stone. Yeah, that's very specific and it's measurable, because you can weigh yourself and say that is it. And then is it attainable? Yes, because you know what, I'm 15 stone, I can go down to 14 stone. It's not way out of the area. And is it relevant? Yeah, if I want to be more athletic, then that is what I would need to do. And then timely, just making sure that I've got a time. So I can say, you know what, I'm going to lose a stone in 3 months, and I can measure that goal. And then that enables me to have something to achieve, and then when I went and I can see what is happening along those 3 months as I'm working. Am I going up? Am I going down? What do I need to adjust? But at least it's focused, and in that way you're not throwing here and there and all over the place with other things, like other fads and diets coming your way. But you stay, you're able to remain focused. And then last one, which I think is probably the most important personally, is to eat the best quality of food your money can afford. Yeah, that for me, I think is probably the best thing, because the quality of food is so varied out there. And that is also probably maybe where people are getting those conflicting bits of health advice. Should you go organic? Should you go free range? Should you go corn fed? Should you go, I don't know, Amazon plucked, hand picked? I don't know, wherever it is. But whatever money you've got, if you've got a £10 budget, get the best money you can get for £10. If you've got £100 budget, get the best money you can get for £100. If you've got £1,000 budget, whatever it is, just go for the best quality, because that age-old adage, busting up, that age-old adage, what you are, what you eat, is so true. So make sure you're eating the best quality food that you can, get that best quality fuel in your body, so that your body can do and work and operate at its best. So those are my three. So portion control, add one SMART goal to your life, and then eat the best quality of food your money can buy.
Yeah, brilliant. Love that. We just have a quick question. We'll just do it for like 30 seconds if you could just answer this just before we wrap up. Is how far should I go in supplementing my diet with vitamins tablets?
That is a very, very personal question, and you probably would need a medical professional to actually see what it is you need to do and why you need to do it, because your food is the best way to get in your minerals and your nutrients, because of the way that your body breaks it down. So if you need to supplement it with vitamins, you probably need to consult a medical professional to get that kind of advice.
Because I think, yeah, they can do tests to see what you're potentially deficient in, and then that would be where you would get your supplements from, rather than just
Yeah,
constantly going with the multivitamins and all of that
yeah.
kind
So
of stuff.
I couldn't just say take that. That would be wrong of me.
Yeah. Yeah, please, we don't want anyone suing us today.
Or any day.
Okay, say again?
I said, or any day.
Yeah, true, very true. So thank you so much for joining today. I've really appreciated all of the just gems that you have shared today. So much
You're
useful and
welcome.
valuable information. And again, for because I know that you also run workouts. So, do you want to just give a bit of how can people find you? How can people, improve their health?
Yeah, so there's going to be a link coming across the bottom of the screen. That's how they can find me. So I run a morning class called Creative Fitness. So that started during the pandemic. It is from beginner to intermediate, running through it from working on your balance, stability, core strength, cardio, and your overall body's strength. No weights needed, no equipment. And it is just for people that have either never exercised before or are struggling to get over that hurdle of the beginner stage. So it's to just try and help strengthen you, and all from the comfort of your home, basically. So yeah, find me.
Brilliant. So yeah, so again, if you're and again, part of this is to do with confidence as well. If you're not feeling confident enough to actually put yourself out there publicly and going to a gym, going to classes, going to play sports, maybe you don't even have the facilities or the weather, then there are plenty of workouts that you can do. But I have tried this, and this has definitely been beneficial. So I would definitely recommend creative fitness as a way of improving your strength with your beginner. And also, if you do actually work out, this is actually a good way to supplement it in a different way to using weights, which is what I use it for. So thanks again, Dean, for joining us today and imparting such useful wisdom and great analogies for today. And Yeah, again, thank you for joining us, AA. Thanks for the questions that you've had rolling in today. They've been really useful for anyone who might be watching this either live or when you come back. Now, just remember that this is the last week of the shift. So we'll be moving on to money, 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 looking at how we can get that kind of generate that wealth, having that right mindset, and again, not focusing on the money. What do we focus on in order to actually build it? Because the more we focus on the very thing that we want, sometimes it's the last thing that we actually get. So how do we focus on that? It's still not too late to join the shift, so link is below. I should really have my own banner, and there we go. So feel free to join the
Technology,
shift.
a marvel.
And yeah, just make sure that you have signed up, and there'll be a session on Saturday, and then this time next week we'll have a special guest, a financial advisor, who'll be giving some information about how you can improve your money and generate and build wealth. So thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking the time to spend an hour of your life with us, which can hopefully gain you plenty of hours in your life, just by taking on board some of the suggestions today. So we're about to close. Dean, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just enjoy the transformation, enjoy that lifestyle change, and have fun with it. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I know we've heard it all over the place, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. Keep it going, and you'll get the benefits. You know what I mean? You reap the rewards.
Yep, I have nothing else to add after that. So yeah, thanks again for joining, and we will definitely be seeing you soon. Take care.